YouTube world, welcome back to my video. This is going to be the official August TBR, and I have my handy dandy TBR jar here full of prompts. If you haven't been here before, basically I'm going to use this TBR jar, which, like you can see, has a bunch of prompts. I'm going to pick I think 6 out at random, read them, and then pick a book off of my book cart to fit that prompt. And then that will be my TBR for the month of August. Thank you guys so much for the support on these videos. I feel like you guys are really enjoying them. I love doing them. It's so fun. Quite honestly, this has been very successful, just having like this TBR, because I've actually done a really good job of reading the books that I end up picking. So if you guys are interested in seeing any reviews, I do have like wrap-ups for the past months as well, where I kind of review all the books that I read, and most of them, if not all of them, have been part of these videos. So thank you so much for supporting and liking these videos. I have so much fun doing this, found it really successful, and definitely gonna keep it up. So let's just jump right in. Every time I do that, I end up dropping all of these prompts everywhere. So we're just gonna, at random, stick my hand in here, scramble them up, and let's just see what we get. Definitely hoping for some like summery books, because it's gonna be August and it's kind of like the tail end of summer. So still gonna be warm weather, beach reads, all of that is what I want to pick. Oh, interesting. So this one says highest rated on your TBR. How, okay. I guess what I can do, I think I have most of these under my want to read on Goodreads. So I'm gonna go to Goodreads, go to my want to read shelf, and then rate them by highest rated, and then the first one that pops up from this cart I'm gonna pick. Okay, so I'm on my want to read shelf, and I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. And I have the women on here, which I do own, but it's in my living room and it's not on this shelf. The next one would be the Mind F series, which I do not own, and then the next highest rated is the Nightingale, which is actually right here on my shelf. So I think because of that, I'm gonna have to choose this one. Now this is Kristen Hanna. This is a historical fiction book. I have read 2 other Kristen Hanna books this year, and I rated them 5 stars and 4.5 stars. So very highly rated. She is my favorite author so far that I've read this year. I had never read one of her books until this year, so definitely loved her. I feel like I was kind of hoping I wouldn't pick this because, I don't know, I'm just like kind of savoring it. Like, I've heard so many great things, and the anticipation is more like rewarding to me right now than like picking it up and reading it. But then again, I am excited just to see what it's about and not have that FOMO anymore because of this book. So I'm gonna add it to my TBR. I'm really excited. Kristen Hanna, her storytelling is phenomenal, and I just know I'm gonna love it, especially historical fiction. I feel like it has a special place in my heart, where sometimes it just hits so much harder. I feel like all historical fiction books that I read are like 4.5 and higher, because they're just so sentimental, emotional. This is gonna do some damage, I already know. But I guess we have our first book picked. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Very excited. Now let's move on to TBR prompt number 2. Let's pick this one. I didn't even pick one up. Okay, we got one. We got 2. So let's just pick this one, and it is 5-star prediction. Wow, okay, it's literally like this one is meant to be read this month, because I probably would have picked that one. This is so interesting. 5-star prediction. Okay, I have one on my shelf. Sorry, that's where I was just looking. I have a shelf over here, like a whole bookshelf off camera, and there is one on there that I think is definitely gonna be 5 stars. So let me see on here. It's also an unread book. I just don't have any room on here, so I didn't add it, but let me refer to this and then we'll see which one I pick. I honestly don't know. Okay, I mean, we have Yours Truly, which to so many people, this is a 5-star read. I kind of do want to read this. The one that I was thinking of off camera was Daisy Hates The Great Undoing, because that is the next book in the Magnolia Park series that I'm like up to. And the first Daisy Hates book was 5 stars for me, and I love Daisy Hates. So I'm pretty sure that one's gonna be 5 stars, but I also am heavily leaning towards this one because I also feel like this would be 5 stars. And I honestly do think this would be perfect for the summertime. So I think I wanna go with this one. This is Yours Truly. This is a rom-com by Miss Abby Jimenez, who is also one of my favorite authors, just because her rom-coms are so special. They're so funny, there's banter, the characters are lovable, all of the above. I think I'm going with this one, 5-star read prediction. Oh, how cute, the cover is so cute. There's like a Oh, okay, it looks like kind of like a workplace romance, because they look like they're at work. And then there's a dog. I feel like in every Abby Jimenez book, there is a dog. I guess this is book number 2 on the TBR pile. All right, 2 out of 6, 4 more to go. Next prompt is going to be book starting with the word the, which I feel like I'm gonna find quite a lot of those because a lot of books start with the. The Last Love Note, The Last House on the Street, The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery, The Sentence, The Vanishing Half. Okay, I'm not gonna do that because literally they all start with the. We have quite a lot to pick from. I'm leaning towards The Last House on the Street and The Vanishing Half. I think these two are kind of the ones that are calling my name the most. This one is like a thriller mystery by this author named Diane Chamberlain, and I've read only one of her other books and I really loved it. I feel like she's not super popular and I don't see her on like bookstagram or booktube ever, but I'm telling you, the one book that I did read from her really kind of left a lasting impact on me, and I would definitely be interested in reading another one of her books. The other one is The Vanishing Half, which I think is like a memoir, or it's like kind of like a nonfiction book, I think. I'll have to look this up. Oh my gosh, yeah, I bought this in Spain or like Madrid, so that's what this cover is from. Maybe the cover is different here in the US. Okay, so I was kind of doing some more research off camera. This is not a memoir or nonfiction. This is actually fiction, and it's about two twin sisters growing up together in a small southern Black community until at age 16 they run away. So that's really interesting. I've heard this one be highly rated and like talked about, so that's why it's kind of calling my name, and it sounds very interesting. This one, on the other hand, I also feel like I'm being pulled towards because, like I mentioned, I actually pulled the other book that I read from this author, and it's this one. It's called Big Lies in a Small Town. This one was also really interesting. I do love putting like a thriller mystery on my TBR because it's always fun to have one of those in that genre for when you need a quicker read. So I'm very interested. I feel like I want to do this one, although this one has been on the TBR for a longer time. I think I want to do this one just because, just because this one is, I think, historical fiction as well, and I do already have one pretty chunky historical fiction book on there. So I think this one's gonna wait a little bit longer, and I'm gonna put The House on the Street, The Last House on the Street by Diane Chamberlain. Okay, this is also historical fiction because I just saw the back, and there's two dates, 1965 and 2010. No idea what it's about, but I think I looked up this author on Goodreads and kind of looked for the highest rated book, and it was this one. But I do know it's a thriller mystery because that's kind of what her books are about. I will have to get back to you guys on what this is about, but I think I'm gonna choose this one. So this is gonna be the third book on the TBR. Prompt number 4 is going to be food on the cover. That's really fun. Too bad I can't see any of the covers. Does this have food? I've been wanting to read this one, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Does this one have food? I pulled these two. So the first one's Wildfire by Hannah Grace. Now, she's holding a hot chocolate or like a coffee on the cover. So that obviously is food. I quite literally just don't have very many that have like food on the cover. And I did find this one. This is a hardback called A Half-Baked Murder by Emily George. I think I got this from like a book subscription, so it just looked really interesting. The cover is adorable. I think it's just a general fiction book. And there's some plant gardening cookies or macarons on the front. There are some cakes and loaves of bread over here as well. Oh, it says, in this irresistible debut mystery from Emily George, aspiring pastry chef Chloe Barnes is ready to take her career higher while bringing down a killer. That sounds fun and like, you know, interesting. I do really want to read Wildfire because Daydream by Hannah Grace, which is the third book in the Maple Hills series, is coming out, I think this month or next month. Book number 1, book number 2, and then book 3 comes out, I think next month. So I do want to read this one by then so I can purchase the book. But this one sounds really fun too. I think I'm gonna go with Wildfire just because these are like ones that I feel like I just am gonna read eventually and I just want to get them off of my TBR. So I'm gonna choose Wildfire, but this one definitely was brought to my attention again, so I'm gonna keep an eye out for this one, and maybe if I find some extra time in the month, I'll pick this one up as well. So book number 4 is going to be Wildfire by Hannah Grace. So far, really enjoying my TBR that I've picked out. All right, moving on to book number 5. Picked out a lengthy one. It is, ooh, fun. Reese's Book Club pick. So I love Reese's Book Club, one of my favorite book clubs, and I know I have a few of those on the TBR card. Anita de Monte Last, which I think this is a 2024 pick. I have The Island of Missing Trees, Cassandra in Reverse, Untamed, and Anatomy. Okay, I think the ones from this pile, these two are the standouts. This one is kind of more of a fiction fantasy, and this one, I believe it's just kind of a fiction. Historical fiction. Okay. I think I want to go with anatomy. I think this is about a woman who like wants to be a surgeon, but whenever time that she's in, that's obviously like looked down upon for women to have like a career like that. So she still secretly tries to do it. And I heard it's a little bit graphic, a little bit like eerie, and that's kind of calling my attention right now, especially because I don't have a fantasy book on the TBR, and I think this would switch things up. It's not too long. The cover is beautiful, and I remember when I bought that scared me. I remember when I bought it, I was really interested in it. This cover, it's like a girl sitting in a dress, but it's like in the shape of a heart. So it's called Anatomy, a Love Story. It's a YA book, which is not my favorite. I don't love that genre, but I think we're gonna give it a try this month. So Anatomy is going on the TBR. Okay, that was 5. We have 1 more left. We definitely have some room on the cart. So that's really exciting to see because sometimes it just feels so overwhelming when your cart like is bursting at the seams. So let's pick our 6th book for August. We'll do this one. I'm gonna let you guys see it first. So what does it say, guys? Award winner. Off the top of my head, award winner, I think this one's an award winner of the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction of 2019. I've been putting this one off for like 2 years now, The Overstory, and it's really pretty. It's about, I think it's a book about trees and like their effects on people, like underrated effects on the world. I think I want to do this one. It doesn't seem super interesting, I'm not gonna lie, but I bought it for a reason. I bought it at the oldest bookstore in Portugal. So I think it's the oldest running bookstore in the world, and it happened to be in Portugal. I bought this in 2022. It seems kind of interesting, and it is an award winner. So I honestly don't know what other ones on here are award winners. So I would have to literally rummage through all of them, and I just don't want to do that right now. So I think we are going with The Overstory. All right, we're gonna quickly go over the books that I picked to be on the TBR. First one we picked was Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. This is also a Reese's Book Club pick, so that's kind of interesting. It's soon to be a major motion picture. Exciting. I love film adaptations. This was Goodreads' best historical fiction novel of the year, People's Choice favorite fiction. So many awards this one has won as well. It is a World War II historical fiction, and I don't know too much more about what else it's about, but again, very excited to have another Kristen Hanna read in my life, honestly. Gonna be sad because this one I feel like just has been on my TBR for so long, so I'm like kind of sad for it to be like taken away, but it's kind of rewarding knowing that it's because I will have read it and I will have known what people are talking about, and I will hopefully fall in love with it as well. Again, super highly rated, very popular, so definitely excited to be reading this in the month of August. Next up is another really popular book, Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is a rom-com, so a romance, one of my favorite genres. It should be funny, should be a little bit lighthearted, but if I know anything about Abby Jimenez, it's that they're usually lighthearted reads with like a little bit of, well, they're not entirely lighthearted. I feel like they do sometimes have an emotional element to them, which I do enjoy, and I love to see that in romance books. So definitely expecting that. Looks kind of like a workplace romance. She's a queen of meet cutes, so the way that these two characters meet, I know it's gonna be phenomenal and funny. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have read this book because it's super popular. Next up is The House on the Street by, I keep saying the name wrong, The Last House on the Street by Diane Chamberlain. This is a thriller mystery, also kind of with a historical context. It looks like it's gonna be dual timeline, 1965 and 2010. I don't know too much more about that, and I think I wanna go into this one kind of blindly just because I usually prefer that with my thriller mysteries. I like to know nothing and then just kind of get thrown in and then see what the heck happens. So that's all I'm gonna say. Next up is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This this comes after Icebreaker, so I think one of the characters in Icebreaker is the main character in this book. So basically a one-night stand occurs, and then in this book there are two summer camp counselors and they kind of come together, and it's like awkward because that happened. They know each other, but it's like, you know, and then they kind of just work through things, I guess. So it is a romance, I believe spicy romance, because that's what Icebreaker was. And yeah, definitely giving August summertime vibes. Very excited for this one. Next up is Anatomy, a Love Story by Sana Schwartz, I believe. And this was my Reese's Book Club pick. I believe this is kind of like a bunch of genres in one. It's fiction, historical fiction, fantasy, romance. So we get a little bit of everything in this, which is really exciting. Like I mentioned previously, it's about a woman or a girl who prefers to be a surgeon than like get married basically, but obviously that's looked down upon in the society that she's in, and we kind of just follow her on her journey and see what she gets into. So that sounds really interesting. Not the biggest fantasy reader, but I've heard great things, so looking forward to it. Last but not least is The Overstory by Richard Powers. I am a little intimidated by this one because I feel like it just is not what I would reach for, but this is what this video and reading is all about, is stepping out of your comfort zone. And essentially I think it's just a book about trees and their power and how it just, you know, trees are amazing. So I can't wait to see what the heck this talks about. It's very much an environmental type of book. Don't know too much about it. I tried to look up like what it's about on Goodreads, but I still don't really understand. So I guess I'm just gonna go into it and see what happens. Very intimidated, but the average rating was like 4.12 stars, which is really good. So that's hopeful. This is the last book on the August TBR. So if you stay tuned, you will hopefully see me read most of these, if not all of these, and then I will be doing an August wrap up so you guys can see my thoughts and reviews on them. But for now, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.